Habibi gang. Remember when we said Newcastle was going to take the win?
At Old Trafford.
Yeah, at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
well,
they didn't just win.
They didn't just win. They absolutely dominated.
Dominated is an understatement. I mean, it was a rout. And it all started just 3.5 minutes into the match.
It's crazy.
Picture this: Isak ghosts right between Maguire and Martinez, gets his head on a beautiful cross, and bam, the ball's in the back of the net.
That early goal from Isak, man. It was like watching a shark smell blood in the water.
Yeah.
You could practically feel the energy just shift on the pitch. Newcastle just went into overdrive.
Yeah, and what impressed me most was how they just overwhelmed United in the midfield. You remember how we talked about Amorim's decision to start Casemiro and Eriksen?
Oh, yeah.
A combined age of 64.
Against Newcastle's young and hungry trio.
Against Joelinton, Tonali, and Guimaraes.
Yeah, we questioned that one, didn't we?
We did.
And it played out exactly as we thought it might. Newcastle's midfield was like a whirlwind. They just ran circles around United.
It was like watching a well-oiled machine against a rusty old tractor. And Newcastle's second goal perfectly encapsulated that Gordon just breezes through the midfield like a hot knife through butter and then floats a perfect cross for Jalen Borden to head home.
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And honestly, Habibi gang, the scoreline could have been even more embarrassing for Manchester United.
Oh, yeah.
Newcastle had so many chances.
So many chances.
They were slicing through United's defense like it was paper.
They were rampant. Isak even said after the match, "It feels great we haven't won in a long time here. The perfect way to end this year."
Yep.
They could have had another 2 or 3 goals easily.
Okay, but let's talk about Manchester United for a second.
Yeah.
This wasn't just a bad day at the office.
Yeah.
This is their 4th straight defeat. They've now lost 3 consecutive home league matches for the first time since the 1978-79 season.
Wow.
That's saying something.
I don't think we can just brush this off as a bad patch anymore. There are some serious underlying issues here. And you have to question some of Amorim's decisions, like his insistence on sticking with this 3-4-3 formation.
Mm-hmm. He's stubborn, isn't he? You have to wonder what he sees in this formation that everyone else seems to be missing. It's not like it's a proven winner in the Premier League.
Right.
I mean, the only team that's won the league using this formation was Antonio Conte's Chelsea side back in 2016-17.
And even then, Conte switched to a back 4 later in the season. It just feels like Amorim is trying to shoehorn players into a system that doesn't suit them. He's ignoring the obvious flaws, and it's costing them dearly.
The early substitution of Xerxes after just 32 minutes just added to the sense of panic, wouldn't you say?
It was a bizarre decision. It almost felt like Amorim was trying to send a message, but to whom Xerxes, the rest of the team, it just reeked of desperation. And you could see the frustration on Xerxes' face as he walked straight down the tunnel after being subbed off.
Yeah, although he did eventually return to the bench.
Yeah.
But still, it just adds to the sense that something isn't right at Manchester United. There's a lack of clarity, a lack of direction.
And bringing back Rashford after he publicly stated he wanted a new challenge? That's just baffling man management. What message does that send to the other players? It's like Amorim is making it up as he goes along.
And then there were his post-match comments, which were, shall we say, a little concerning.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and I'm quoting here, "Our club needs a shock, and we have to understand that. It is also why I speak of relegation. That is really clear the possibility, and we have to fight. It is a really difficult moment, one of the more difficult moments in the history of Manchester United, and we have to address it with honesty, and to be clear with that, we have to fight in the next game."
Wow, strong words. I mean, fair play to him for being honest, but to talk about relegation after just a few months in charge, that's got to send shivers down the spines of Manchester United fans.
It's almost like he's trying to deflect blame. Hey, this team was already a mess when I got here. But talk is cheap. He needs to start showing us something on the pitch.
He's right about one thing, though. Manchester United do need a shock. They need to wake up and realize that they're sleepwalking towards disaster.
And the crazy thing is, they're only 7 points above the relegation zone. I mean, it's still early in the season, but if they keep playing like this, Amorim's words might become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's a slippery slope, that's for sure. And it doesn't sound like he's going to have much help in the January transfer window either. He said, "We don't have that possibility in January if we don't sell some players. You know the situation better than me. It is not that I am arriving here and can spend money changing the team."
So he's basically admitting that he's stuck with this squad, which, let's face it, isn't good enough. It's like he's been handed a rusty toolbox and told to build a masterpiece.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, was Amorim really the right choice to replace the previous manager? Was this a well-thought-out long-term appointment, or was he simply the most convenient option at the time?
It's a question that the Manchester United board is probably asking themselves right now. Based on what we've seen so far, I don't think they're too happy with the answers.
Look, I know it's easy to pile on the negativity, but I genuinely worry for Manchester United. This feels like more than just a rough patch. This feels like a club that's lost its way.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch a club with such a rich history and tradition struggling like this.
But maybe, just maybe, this humiliating defeat against Newcastle will be the wake-up call they need. Maybe it'll be the catalyst for change.
Maybe. But I wouldn't bet on it.
Well, Habibi gang, while Manchester United are busy soul-searching, let's take a closer look at Newcastle's performance. Because what they did at Old Trafford was nothing short of a tactical masterclass.
You're absolutely right. Newcastle were brilliant. They were fluid, they were dynamic, they were ruthless, they were everything that Manchester United weren't.
It's like Eddie Howe has instilled this belief in them, that they can beat anyone, anywhere, and they're not just relying on individual brilliance, although Isak and Gordon were certainly on fire.
Right. It was a total team performance. Everyone knew their role and executed it perfectly.
It was a masterclass in tactical discipline. Think about their movement off the ball, the way they were constantly creating overloads, exploiting the space that United's midfield was leaving wide open.
You could practically see the cogs turning in. Howe's tactical mind, couldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Gordon and Trippier on those wings. They were instrumental in stretching the play, delivering those dangerous crosses, but also tucking in, causing chaos in the middle.
That's what impressed me. They weren't just sticking to the sidelines. They were coming inside, making runs, interchanging positions. United's defense had absolutely no idea how to handle them.
And it wasn't just about their attacking contributions. They were disciplined defensively, too. Tracking back, putting in the tackles. It was a complete performance from both of them.
But Habibi gang, none of that happens without that rock-solid midfield trio we keep talking about. Joelinton, Denali, and Guimaraes were everywhere.
They were absolutely immense, breaking up play, winning tackles, distributing the ball with such precision. They completely dictated the tempo of the game.
It's almost like they formed this human shield in front of Newcastle's defense. United's attacks were snuffed out before they could even develop.
And they were just as crucial going forward. Finding those pockets of space, receiving the ball on the turn, driving forward with purpose. I honestly think that midfield trio is one of the best in the Premier League right now.
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Newcastle's defense, which was pretty much impenetrable. Manchester United barely had a sniff at goal.
Schär was an absolute colossus at the back, dominant in the air, strong in the tackle. He read the game perfectly.
Yeah, he was immense. But again, it was a collective effort. The whole defensive unit was organized, disciplined, and resolute.
Habibi gang Newcastle's performance at Old Trafford was a statement. They announced themselves as genuine title contenders.
And they've done it by playing attractive, attacking football. They're not just grinding out results, they're dismantling teams. It's exciting to watch.
It's the kind of football that makes you want to jump out of your seat and shout, yes, that's how the beautiful game should be played.
I couldn't have said it better myself. But while Newcastle are riding high, Manchester United are left picking up the pieces.
Amorim has a mountain to climb. He needs to figure out his best team, settle on a system that actually works, and somehow instill some confidence in this group of players.
The big question is, does he even have the time to do all that? The pressure at a club like Manchester United is immense. Another few bad results, and he could be out of a job.
It's a results-driven business, and right now the results are simply not good enough. And with the January transfer window just around the corner, he's got some tough decisions to make.
Does he stick or twist? Does he try to bring in new players? Does he give youth a chance? Or does he back the experienced players who just aren't delivering?
It's a real dilemma. And it's made even more complicated by the fact that he's basically admitted he has limited funds to work with, so even if he wants to make changes, he might not be able to.
He's in a good spot, that's for sure. But you know what they say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going? Let's see if Amorim can turn this around.
It's going to be fascinating to watch this unfold. Will this be the start of a new era at Manchester United under Amorim, or will it be a short and painful chapter in their history?
One thing's for sure, Habibi gang. We'll be here to break it all down for you every step of the way.
Absolutely. But for now, let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture. This result, Newcastle's dominance over Manchester United, does it signal a power shift in the Premier League?
That's a great question. Are we witnessing the decline of a giant and the rise of a new force? It's certainly a symbolic victory for Newcastle, no doubt about that. They've been building something special up there in the Northeast, and this win feels like a real arrival on the big stage.
We've talked a lot about tactics and formations, but what really stood out to me about Newcastle was their mentality. They played with a hunger and a desire that we haven't seen from Manchester United in a long time.
They wanted it more. You could see it every tackle, every run, every pass. It was like they were playing for something bigger than themselves.
And that's a testament to Eddie Howe and the culture he's created at the club. He's built a team that's greater than the sum of its parts. And that's a dangerous proposition for the rest of the league.
It feels like there's a real sense of belief at Newcastle, a feeling that they can achieve anything. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go on to challenge for the title this season.
They've certainly got the talent and the momentum, but the Premier League is a marathon, not a sprint. Can they maintain this level of intensity and focus over the course of a long and grueling season?
That's the million-dollar question. And we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. But one thing's for sure, Newcastle have made a statement. They're here to stay.
And as for Manchester United, well, they've got a lot of work to do. Amorim needs to find a way to stop the rot and quickly.
He needs to make some tough decisions both on and off the pitch. And he needs to find a way to unite a squad that seems increasingly fractured and disillusioned.
If he can't do that well, his tenure at Old Trafford could be a very short one. The pressure is on and the clock is ticking.
So Habibi gang, after this deep dive, what are your takeaways? Do you think Manchester United can turn things around, or is this the beginning of a downward spiral?
And more importantly, can Newcastle maintain their momentum and challenge for the title? We want to hear your thoughts, so hit us up on social media and let us know what you think.
And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insightful deep dives into the world of football. We've got plenty more to discuss, so stay tuned.